I've been trying to lose 30 pounds in 60 days. Today is day 32, and I just noticed that I might be getting caught up in my doom loop. I'll show you how I'm going to try to get out of it so that I can continue to make great progress. Coming right up. So, welcome to February the 2nd. And I'm trying to lose 30 pounds in 60 days. It's been a harrowing journey, right? I'm just trying to get from this guy who used to weigh 235 in 2013 over back to this guy who managed to get to 164 for about a hot minute. And then I climbed all the way back up. And the way I'm going to do it is by not doing this. I'm not going to eat these giant 26-ounce pieces of steak in one sitting. I'm just going to avoid all of these incredibly bad habits that I have. And I've created a plan. I've created a plan to get to the next level. And so, where do we weigh in today? What are our stats? Well, today I weighed in at 170.4 pounds. I was 194 pounds on January the 1st, and right now I'm 170, which means I lost 0.5 pounds yesterday. Was it water weight? Was it fat weight? I don't know, but I'm pretty sure it had some effect on my weight. I'm down to like 1,100 calories or so per day, and I'm following a pretty tight regimen when it comes to that. I'm feeling good on 1,100 calories. There's going to be complications at that level. Over time, your metabolism might slow down. It's a couple things. I've got to keep track of this. So I'm working on it. Let's take a look at what else is going on. Let's take a look at some of the graphs. So on the graph, my wake-up weight, of course, was 170.4. I was happy about that. I weighed myself 3 times to get that weight. My daily weight loss is continuing to hover around 0.5 pounds per day on average. That was what I wanted to achieve. I'm happy with that. My 5-day average weight loss has gone up a little bit. I'm starting to peg up around 0.6 pounds over the last 5 days, and that's okay. My 7-day, this is interesting, my 7-day rolling weight loss, this is how many pounds I've lost in the last week, is down to 3.3 pounds, and that is worrisome. It's causing me to focus on that number. We're going to talk about that in a minute. How many pounds have I lost total? Well, I know that I've lost 23.6 pounds, and my calories are going down. Every day that I lose a pound, I drop 4 or 5 calories. I've got a little formula to make that happen, and I'm dropping those calories. My blood glucose levels and ketones are tracking very nicely. I measure those every day. I get up in the morning, and that's one of the first things that I do, and I'm seeing a very consistent pattern in where my blood glucose levels are. Sometimes it's a little high, like this morning. This morning was like 95. I didn't eat anything weird yesterday. I was thinking about it. Did I have extra carbs or anything like that? Yeah, I couldn't put my finger on it because I'm getting very, very strict about my diet, right? I'm starting to focus in on the foods that I know are going to have a positive effect on my diet. And my ketone levels are just fine. I continue to stay somewhere between 1 and 1.5, which is a very good moderate ketogenesis level. I'm not trying to achieve that, but it's a byproduct of what I am doing. I am just naturally reducing the number of carbs that I'm having, and that's having a good effect. So the next thing is my progress to time ratio. This one is starting to freak me out because that line is going below 1.5. I don't know why I'm freaked out about it, but what it's telling me is that my progress is slowing down. And I told you before, I don't want to be the hare. I want to be the turtle. I want to keep plodding along. Now, it is progressing at a great rate, and I don't think that there's any doubt that I'm going to make my goal. But the fact that that curve's going below 1.5 tells me that my progress is slowing down. Something's going on that's causing me to think about what's happening. It's causing me to focus. So my progress so far, when I look at this, I've got 23.6 pounds. I've only got 6.4 pounds to go. I've managed to achieve that in 32 out of the 28 days, or with 28 days left. I'm almost at 80% of my goal, and I'm only around 54, 55% of the timeline. So can I make my goal? Absolutely. I can absolutely make this goal. There's nothing here that suggests that I can't make my goal, right? I'm feeling good about what I'm doing. And there's lots of good data feedback. There's a tremendous amount of data feedback. And I'm measuring all my inputs and I'm measuring all my outputs. I'm taking a look at my data. I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. But let's take a look at what I'm noticing today. So I noticed that my metrics are slowing down, right? That's something that I'm paying attention to. I'm trying to figure out, wow, some things are starting to slow down, right? I'm not losing weight at the same rate. 3.3 pounds this week. I know that that's a lot. There's no question about it. I'm aware that that is probably more weight than I should be losing, right? They say that a good weight loss metric, a target, is between 1 to 2 pounds a week. I'm losing weight at somewhere around 4 pounds a week, maybe 5 pounds a week on a given week. I'm trying to get this done quickly. I want to get this over with. I'm supplementing. I'm having lots of water, and I'm counting what kind of nutrients I'm putting into my body, and I'm making sure that I'm achieving more than the minimum that I can, other than calories. I'm having lots of protein. I'm having good fat. I'm having minimal carbs, and I'm supplementing with vitamins and making sure that I'm getting the minerals that I need. So what else is going on? What's going on this that's causing me to pay attention? I'm focusing in on my metrics, and I know that they're slowing. I'll tell you what else is happening. I notice that my emotions are starting to become, I'm starting to experience a little bit of impatience, a little bit of doubt. I guess I got used to some very fast-paced weight loss, right? I'm getting used to that. My mind is getting accustomed to this really fast track over here. And what's happening? I'm becoming impatient. I'm expecting results that are much better than probably I should be, right? The next thing that I noticed today is that I'm physically tired. I'm a little bit tired today. You know what happened yesterday? Big snowfall outside. I went out with the kids. We started building a snow fort with big blocks of snow, and I was packing snow and pushing out blocks so my kids could start building. And I spent a lot of time out there, maybe 2 hours, and I was winded at the end of that. And I was exhausted last night when I went to bed. So, that's something that I noticed. I'm a little bit tired this morning. And finally, I'll tell you what else I'm doing. I'm paying attention to my results. All of a sudden, this morning, you know what I was expecting? I was like looking down at the scale, and I had an expectation. I was expecting that scale to read a little bit lower than it did. 170.4. I'm so anxious to get into the 160s, right? This is the last time I'm ever going to be in the 170s. So I am anticipating and I am expecting a result. I'm expecting, and this is key, right? I'm creating an expectation around a result. So what happened? When I looked down at the scale in the morning and I looked at the number and it still said 170, what happened? I started having some emotions. I was a little bit I wasn't big disappointment. It's a little bit disappointment, and this is natural. I've seen this before in my behavior. I'm like looking at something and I'm going, this didn't work. It didn't meet my expectations, right? So my expectations are causing me some problem. And what's happening is I'm focusing my attention on my results. So what's the natural thing that I need to do right at this point, right? I need to hack my loop. I am potentially falling into my doom loop, right? So the doom loop, well, let's go back over that, right? The doom loop happens when you start focusing in on something and you attach a meaning to it. And that meaning, whatever you attach, whether it's positive or negative, drives your emotions, whether you like it or not. And your emotions drive a whole bunch of things, but your emotions form the basis of the quality of your life. And depending on how you feel, whether you're positive or negative, if you're negative, there's a good chance that you're going to re-enter this loop and you're going to start to focus back in on something that's negative, and then it just gets worse It just gets worse. So what am I doing today? I'm focusing on the number that I saw between my toes this morning. Probably not the right thing. I've been advising folks not to do that, right? It's just a number, but don't focus on it. It's good. You need to record it. You need to look at your shirt sizes. You need to look at how your face is looking in the mirror. You need to record everything, but don't focus on it. Focus on gathering the metrics. Don't focus on the metric, okay? You need to look at the bigger picture. So here I am. I'm focused on that number between my toes. What meaning did I give it? I gave it a little meaning of doubt. I gave it a little meaning that, hey, maybe this isn't working. Boy, I thought I had done everything right yesterday. Did I cheat? Blah, blah, blah. It's giving me some type of a meaning, right? Like something's going wrong. Right? There's a problem here. What emotions did I have? Started having those emotions that I haven't had in quite a while. Hey, maybe this isn't working. This dieting stuff is hard and I'm not getting the results I want. Silly. I am getting the results I want, and I need to come back to that in a minute. But what's happening is I'm falling into my doom loop. This doom loop, this very, very strange, simple little thing is probably responsible for most of the negative results that I've gotten in my life. When I think back on my life and I look at the kind of results that I got, I was probably stuck in this loop. I was probably floating around somewhere inside this loop, and I couldn't get out of it. So right now, I'm going to talk about the kinds of things that I might be able to do to get out of my doom loop. Well, here it is. How do you hack your doom loop? You need to ask a better question. You need to ask a better question. The one way that you get out of your doom loop, or at least the way that I found I can get out of my doom loop, is that whatever I'm focused on is usually driven by a question, right? I'm looking at the number between my toes this morning and I'm like, what's going on? Is that a great question? How come I didn't get into the 160? How come it's not 169.9? Is that a good question? How come? That's not a good question. That's not a great question. Look, it's an okay question. It's a question you're going to ask and you should ask it. But is it the question that you should be focused on? Is it the best question that you could ask yourself right now at this moment? Is it the one that's going to drive a different approach, a different behavior? I know that if I continue to ask, why isn't this working? These kind of big open-ended questions, right? Why didn't I get my result? Why is it that I'm 32 days into it? Like that? Those are not great questions. Gonna ask them, but they're not great questions. What's a better question that I could ask myself? What is a much better question, right? So instead of trying to figure out, what is the next better question, the way I do it is I only have one question. There's one question that I can figure out, that I can ask myself at any given time, and what that question is matters a lot. And it's taking me some time to figure out what that is. That question is very simple. I ask the same question every time. When I start to feel negative, I ask myself, what should I be focused on to produce a positive result and a positive outcome, right? That's a good question. That's a much better question than why is this happening to me? Why did that person not like me? Why am I not doing well over here? Instead of asking this myriad of questions, which your brain is searching for an answer, train your brain to ask one simple question every time. It's like the central question to almost everything. And in my case, I've moved from a whole series of questions down to one question. When I start to feel a little bit negative, when I start to have some negative thoughts, when I start to attach negative meanings to things, when I find myself not to be starting from a place of abundance and gratitude, I need to ask one question. I'm training myself. It's a habit, right? It's a habit. Right? It's like when you're walking up to a door and you make sure, at night and you're about to go to bed, what do? You lock that door. It's a little habit, right? So all I'm trying to do is like when I walk up to that negative emotion, the first thing that happens, I want it to be muscle memory. I want it to be brain memory. I want to ask myself one simple question. What should I be focused on? What should I be focused on? to produce a positive outcome. So that was that's what I did today. I sat down and I asked this question because I noticed that I was having all those emotions. So now, as a result of asking myself, what should I be focused on to have a more positive outcome in this situation, I started asking myself a couple of other questions. I'm like, well, am I counting all my calories? And I'm like, yep, I am. I looked at the data. I was counting all my calories. Did I cheat yesterday? Went back. I didn't cheat yesterday. Is it possible that some of my inputs are incorrect? Like, is my basal metabolic rate for, the formula, is that generic formula out there correct? Don't know. I'm not really sure. I'm counting on it. I hope it's correct. Am I reducing the number of calories accordingly during the day? Well, bear in mind that when I don't lose a lot of weight the day before, I don't drop a lot of calories. So maybe I need to drop more consistently. Maybe I need to just take a 10 calorie deficit every day. Just every day I need to drop 10 calories instead of eating the calories for that weight minus 500. So maybe my approach isn't the best. So I'm going to tweak that. But I did find something. That I hadn't counted before. So it turns out that my supplements, right, my vitamin E and my daily multivitamin and my omega-3 fatty acids, those are big. It turns out that those are 30 calories right there. And I have those every day. So I went and did the research this morning and I included that in my calorie chart, in my daily planner for what I'm taking in. And I added those 30 calories in there. And I was like, wow, that's 30 calories that I've been consuming every day that I didn't know about. So maybe I'm taking in too many calories. And then I realized, I have this little lion's mane mix every day, this little powder by Ohm. And I mix that in with my minerals, my electrolytes. And I just have that drink. It's not a very pleasant taste, but it's like, it's like black coffee. You get used to it. So I've got that every day because I want to try the lion's mane experiment, which is like 30 to 60 days to see if it helps with myelin buildup in your brain. Like, are you remembering better, right? And I think it is. The studies show that. Anyway, it's 10 calories and it's 1 gram of carbs. I didn't know that. You know how many I had yesterday? I had 2 of those, which means I had 2 more grams of carbs than I knew about, 20 more calories than I knew. Yesterday I had 50 calories more than I knew. So, did that have an effect? Half a pound, 1,700 calories for half a pound, which is, it's half of 3,500 calories. Did it have an effect? Well, a little tiny. But over time, that does have an effect. So what did I do? I said, what should I be focused on to produce a more positive outcome? I need to be focused on my process. It's my process that I need to be focused on, not a specific metric. I need to look at all my metrics, but I need to be focused on my process. So I went back and I updated my little spreadsheets. I updated all my documentation. And I feel now, today, 32 days into it, I have a more accurate count, a more accurate measure of the number of calories that I'm putting into my body today than I did yesterday, than I did 2 weeks ago. So how do I feel now, right? I focused on my process. What meaning did I put in there? I'm like, there's always an ability to improve. There's always room for improvement in everything that I do. And I'm grateful that I found that. What's my emotion? How did I flip from being doubtful, right? And a little bit impatient to flipping my emotions to a positive note, and all of a sudden now I'm like, boy, I got to get back on my process, right? I feel like maybe there's a room for improvement here. Maybe I'm going to do some more research this afternoon and try to figure out what else could I do. Should I just be deducting 10 calories a day, or should I be relying on a formula to do that for me? We're going to go find out, but the bottom line is, I think I got out of my doom loop. I think I hacked my doom loop today. So the way I hack my doom loop is by asking one question over and over and over and over again. And if I don't ask that question, I cycle through my doom loop and it gets worse and worse and worse until I just finally drop everything. I've noticed that about myself. Do you do that? Do you have like a big plan and then you're not getting the results and then you just get frustrated with it and then you drop it? I bet you do. I bet that's happened a couple times in your life. And I know in myself, when I look back at my own history and my own memories of how I've done things, there's been a couple times when I've just gotten frustrated with the process and I didn't keep on going. You know, what's coming up next for me is I'm going to be starting to hit the gym, work out, right? Make sure that these things are a little bit bigger than they are right now. Pack on a little bit more muscle mass. That's going to be a lot harder than losing weight. I mean, I know that I've been stuck not losing weight in the past before, but this process, to be honest, has really been easy for me because I've maintained my willpower. I've maintained a ton of willpower through this process, right? I keep replenishing my willpower because I'm not in a doom loop. Whenever I'm in a doom loop, I'm just like consuming willpower really quick. And whenever I get in that doom loop, I got to get out as soon as possible because guess what? In my doom loop, I'm just chewing up. I'm like draining the willpower well. It's a fire hose of willpower. It's just coming out. It's just draining. It's like somebody pulled a plug out of the bottom of a jug of willpower and it's just spilling out and I'm not using it for anything. It's just depleting my willpower. So what I've done right now is I hacked that before the level got too low, right? Now I've stopped it. Now my willpower is going to start building up again. So when I'm facing my day, if I'm hungry or if I walk by my pantry or my kids have chocolate in their hands today at some point, I'm going to have the willpower to say no. So all sorts of positive things have just happened because I asked one question. I asked a better question. And in anything that you're doing in your life, what is a better question? What is the one better question that you could be asking yourself? And honestly, you don't need to make it complicated. It can just be a simple question. And in my case, I'm saying, what should I be focused on to create a positive outcome here? What can I look at? Because I know that where my attention goes, meaning results, and from meaning, emotions come, and from emotions, boom, back to focus. And if I'm focused on my emotions, if I'm focused on myself, ooh, it gets bad. I just start draining my willpower and then I can't achieve the next thing that I want to achieve. When I start working out, when I change this entire thing and I start focusing on working out, boy, I'm going to need a lot of willpower. I'm going to need this much willpower because honestly, working out, that's hard. And it's not something I'm looking forward to, but I'm going to find a way. I'm going to ask the right questions so that I develop enough willpower so that I get up early in the morning and go hit the gym and make sure that I'm doing what I need to do to pack on 10, 15, 20 pounds of lean muscle mass, which I need to go into my 60s. So, today I hope that you learned a little bit about what to do. You need to ask a much better question, and you probably want to set that as a single question that you want to ask yourself so that you don't have to spend time brainstorming. Just ask yourself one question. And I think that question for me is, what should I be focused on to produce a positive outcome? And maybe, just maybe, you might think that that's a good question for you to ask yourself whenever you're feeling a little bit out of sorts, whenever you're feeling like you're not getting the results you need. Maybe that's a good question to ask yourself. What should you be focused on? What should you be focused on? Hey, if you're dieting today, there's things that you can do today that are really going to help you. And I don't know what plan you're on. If you're following a calorie deficit plan like I am, there's things you can do. But whatever you're doing, I'm pretty sure that you need to measure your effort and your results. You need to measure your efforts, right? You need to keep track of those things. Don't focus on them, just keep track of them. Keep track of what you're doing and keep track of what result you're getting. Don't focus on them. It's going to be dangerous because you're not always going to get the right result. And if you're dieting using a calorie deficit method, weigh your food, right? Get a scale, weigh your food, every meal, every ingredient package, write it down. I use spreadsheets. I pre-plan my meal and I just know my weights, right? I know today I'm having chicken and broccoli. I'm approaching the 170, landmark number, which will get me to 164, which is psychologically very difficult for me because I've never gone below 164. So I know now's race time. It's race time and I'm weighing every ingredient and I pre-plan my day. I know I'm having chicken breast and broccoli today along with my normal breakfast and I know exactly how many grams of each one. So I don't have to do much thinking. I'm just going to go down to the fridge, pull all that stuff out, weigh it, heat it up, eat it, and keep on with my day. So if you're dieting today, good luck, keep at it, and have a great day. I'll talk to you tomorrow.